October, non-stop from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We have over 2,000 students who have participated in competitions over the past few days, and lots of exciting panels and workshops that are being telecasted live to our subscriber base, which is over 1.5 million across Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, etc. I'm very happy to be moderating the discussion today. Today's panel and the discussion of this panel is going to be on the travel and hospitality industry during the pandemic. And we all know that the most hit industry due to COVID was travel and hospitality. And this covers airlines, this covers hotels, this covers all sorts of hospitality, luxury restaurants, etc. So for this, I have some very great panelists who I'd like to introduce to you. So we have Mr. Arun Bagaria, who is the founder of a travel tech startup called Draftplan, who basically help offline travel agents integrate tech solutions. We have Mr. Aditya Sanghi, who is the founder of Photologics, which is a SaaS-based company for hotels. And we have Mr. Balaji, who heads the Clark's Exotica Hotel in Bangalore. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I just request each of you to just give a quick background about your business so that everyone here has a good idea. So I'll start with Mr. Arun. Arun, if you could just give a quick background about your business for everyone watching.
Sure. Thank you, Nilesh. Very quickly, what Draftplan does is we basically help travel agents to grow their business. Sorry. Yeah. So the way we are able to do that, first we help them build their online presence, which means we help them create their websites and start generating demand using their website. We help them with various tools that helps them generate more and more demand through social media as well. So that's the first part of our business. The second part, we also help them source products, be it flights, hotels, or holidays from suppliers across the world. So, we act as a one-stop shop where the agent can come and, increase his business online and also book flights, hotels, holidays, and going forward, various other travel products using Draftplan in a seamless manner. So that's, pretty much what we do. So we are working with 10,000 plus travel agents across India.
Okay, great. Aditya, if you can let us know about your company, please.
Yeah, hi. I am a CEO co-founder of Photologics. Photologics is a cloud-based hotel management system in hospitality jargon. It's called property management system. It helps hotels manage all their hotel operations like front office, housekeeping, restaurant, travel desk, and it also connects the hotels to all sales channels, be it OTA, the online travel agents, or revenue management tools to increase productivity. So on one single platform, a hotel can manage their entire business and also boost their revenues on a cloud-based offering. We have customers across 100 plus countries who use us, and by virtue of that, I can see globally what's happening with hotels during this pandemic. Extremely, forgettable time, I should say. So, yeah.
Mr. Balaji, can you tell us about the Clarks in Bangalore and the whole Clark group? You're on mute. I request you to unmute yourself.
Yeah, namaskar all. My name is Balaji and I'm the group CEO. As a group of companies, we have 4 verticals. We are into real estate, hospitality, wellness, and exports. And I head the 3 divisions. I take care of hospitality, wellness, and real estate division. And at Bangalore, we have the largest resort called Clark's Exotica. It is spread on 175 acres of property, and we have the largest convention center attached to the resort. With almost about 450 people working in our resort. And we do large conventions, and mainly, we do a lot of medical conferences. In next 2 months, we have 4 mega conferences happening in our resort. So overall, I take care of 3 verticals, and I operate from my head office sitting in Bangalore City head office.
Okay, amazing. Great to know. So let's just kick on this discussion. I'm going to ask a few questions individually to each panelist, and then we can have flowing discussion. Aditya, I'd like to ask you, how did tech enable the travel sector to go completely contactless in 2020? What was the change before? What change did you see during the pandemic, especially in terms of tech support and tech?
So, see, what this pandemic has done is that it has turned a 50-year-old into a millennial. So, not too far ago, less than 2 years back, we would say that countries like India can never go contactless. We need human touch for everything. But pandemic has expedited the adoption of technology. So what we have come out with is multiple solutions that enable contactless behavior of a guest and interaction with the hotel or hotel services. So let's say if the guest has to report a problem in the AC, they can go on our contactless service app. We have a guest service app, and they can report it using on their mobile app directly. If they have to check in, they have to check out. So most of the operations that they would basically try to pick up a phone or try to get to someone, we have made it contactless from the guest perspective. And contactless globally has got a lot of acceptance, adoption, and in various types of hotels, be it small boutique hotels to big 5-star hotels, right? So it's a family of products that have really given the traveler a little bit of extra comfort when it comes to hygiene.
And do these solutions lead to cost savings for the hotel also? And approximately how much if they do?
Yes, I mean, if cost can be measured in productivity, right? Yes, they do. Second is that now these kind of solutions are graduating to upsell certain services of the hotel, so they do help the hotel increase, yield from the guest. So yes. So one is productivity. Obviously, they are not bothering the hotel staff. There is less of interaction, less of engagement. So they increase productivity and they increase yield. Yield can be increased by 2 to 3% on such platforms.
But is there a reduction in hotel staff because of the technology? Is it taking away jobs of the hotel staff, or the staff remains the same and this is just an add-on?
Well, I will say this does not take away job of a hotel staff. It basically, the technology, when it gets simplified, it basically enables the hotel staff to learn tasks or operations quickly. So many hotel staff can start doing multitasking. So let's say, for example, Clarks Exotica, if they have brought in a section of their staff back, and they are now taking over more responsibility for the time being, right? So they are also taking care of maybe housekeeping and let's say lobby operations. So they can learn simplified technology easily and thereby multitask. I don't think this gears up to really substitute a staff, one-on-one as such.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Balaji, I'd like to ask you, what have been the latest tech innovations in the hotel segment that you have seen, and what do you think that the sector is likely to take forward into the new future? So there must have been a lot of innovations that have come up. What do you think are the most important ones and which will continue in the future?
See, going forward, it will be keyless entry, online check-in, which is already there. But when I say online check-in, the guests have to just show their number or registration number or the reservation number, and they can just directly check in. So, which we already started now. And then, when we are developing a new QR code system, where they can just come, for like how we have for airline, where they can just show the QR code and then enter. So likewise, even for the hotel, we are trying to introduce something like that. In fact, we are talking to the software company who has installed the software, recently in our property. So also, even digitize the menu, which is already there, but again, we want to make it more advanced, where they can directly interact with the kitchen or directly with the F&B manager rather than just talking to the captain or to the steward. And also contactless payment, which is there now, but still now in many hotels, especially 5-star hotels, don't have this GPay or Phone Pay or even RPay. So all this, we are introducing, but at the same time keeping the guests things secured, because sometimes this Google Pay, RPay also sometimes people can do the mischief. So there also we are trying to safeguard the data and also see that the payment comes to the hotel and it is not taxing their pocket. So like this, we are trying to bring in a lot of innovative things where guests, it's more, we are not going to standardize, but we are going to more customize. So we are talking to our software companies, where we can customize, because every guest has different, because when it comes to online, a lot of people are very finicky, they are not very sure, especially people who are above 50, 60. It's little difficult to deal with such people. So we need to bring in some system where they are comfortable sharing their information and also transferring the payments. So that segment is still yet to be there. No doubt in last 1 year, people have slowly getting adapted to this cashless, not contactless thing, but then still a lot of people are little hesitant to use online services.
Are you? Yeah, sorry. Are you using any of the software and the new technologies that you've used to track customer data as to be able to market to them better, or to give them a better?
We have recently installed Opera software, and we have spoken to them. In fact, even they have also updated a lot of things. In fact, we just signed up for like what you said, updating even when the guest is walking. Where the camera captures them, and the person there will get the SMS or a WhatsApp message that, for example, if Balaji is walking, he's walking to the restaurant. So the moment the camera see my face, it will recognize me, and it will the person who's there in the restaurant will get the message. So, for example, I checked in last night, so somebody else was there, while checking in. So today morning I go to breakfast. So the staff will not know, what was my requirement or what I told the last person. So that what happens, that data will the moment that camera captures my image, it will start sharing that data to the second person. So it becomes easy to deal with the customer, because customer today, they do, of course, in the hotel, we have 3 shift people working in around the clock, but when they talk to A person, they want the same information from the C person, same result from the C person. So this information percolating down the line, it's very, very important. So that we are trying to capture from the data, and that too through the software like this. So we are developing something like this. So probably next 3 months we should be up and ready.
Okay, that's great.
This is something new, and for us at least.
Thank you so much. Arun, I'd like to ask you, travel agents are at the forefront, as people always wanted a more personalized approach. And that's how, a lot of travel agents, got a lot of customers and a lot of business. And obviously, it got very impacted by the pandemic. So how exactly did the pandemic impact the travel agents as a whole, and then on you as a company?
Right. So, Nilesh, obviously, right, like for 2 months when there was lockdown in 2020, right, when there were no flights, so obviously travel agents had no source of income. In fact, on the contrary, the bookings that they had made in the past, they had to refund to the customers, and at times that meant refunding the profits as well, right? So they were doubly impacted in that sense. But I think what has happened since then is that a lot of customers now, new customers have started reaching out to travel agents depending on customers who come and walk into their offices, but to make sure that they are able to provide service to their customers on WhatsApp, on email, through their websites, things like these, right? So that is how agents have evolved, right? The second big shift that we have started seeing is that a lot of these agents were earlier, like Mr. Aditya had said, were reluctant to adopt technologies themselves, right? Now we see a change where even a small agent, who was doing his business in a traditional way so far, wants to adopt technology, right? So that, I think, that mindset shift is the biggest shift, right? Because his customer is now online, his customer is on WhatsApp, he can share a PDF with his customer on WhatsApp. Customers are comfortable reading, customers want to speak on call, may not visit them in person, may visit them in person. So that is, that adoption of technology, I think, is a big change. uh, how it impacted us. So I think it obviously did impact us. 70%, 80% of our business pre-COVID used to be international travel, which obviously now is yet to come back. So we as a company had to figure out what is it that we need to focus on, and that's where we went back to our customers to understand from them what is it that they plan to do the moment lockdowns open, right? And that is where we realized that they need a means to communicate better with their customers. So we did have something which was like a website even pre-COVID, but it wasn't a full-fledged product which would help these agents grow their business. So that is one large shift which happened in our business, wherein we started helping these agents build their online presence. And because we are talking about 2.5 3 lakh travel agents, you know 10 lakh 15 lakh families over here who depend directly on selling travel, right? Like, not just providing service. So we realized that they need a means to be able to communicate. So that was one major shift. Through that, we were able to continue engaging with agents who are associated with us. And over a period of time, as now bookings have started picking up, people have vaccinations have picked up. As business has come back, these agents have started getting more and more queries and bookings, and we are able to help them. So that's how our last 15-18 months have been as a company.
Do you think that before COVID, in the last 5-10 years, given the rise of the Make My Trips and Ease My Trips and Clear Trips, etc., the businesses of the travel agents had obviously would have significantly gone down because there were a lot of deals available on these online platforms, etc. Do you think, I mean, besides obviously the first year of pain of COVID, do you think people will now start going back more to travel agents because they'll be like, okay, if there is a change needed, etc., my travel agent will be able to help me. If there's a COVID test needed, because earlier a lot of people used to take the quote and information from the travel agents and then go and find a cheaper fare online and book it. But do you think now that after COVID, people don't want to risk much, so they'll be ready to pay a bit of a premium also to go for a travel agent? Is that better for the industry?
Yeah, so that is right. Like, that is very much better for the industry because, like you said, people now realize that the moment they need any change, right, it's better to speak to someone you know of and having a direct point of contact versus having to wait in a customer care, right? So that's one big change. The other thing, right? Like, in India is about service, and we are in the hospitality industry, right? So I think one thing which people have realized is that smaller agents, right, continue to provide great service even in difficult times, whereas some of these larger companies, they resorted to they resorted to just blanket policies and continued to follow just them. And that is the reason where that is the scenario where customers did not get adequate responses, timely responses, or even timely refunds. So that is one big shift I think I see in the customer mindset. The other thing I think which is worth highlighting is that even today, majority of the country continues to travel through travel agents, right? So that is something which often gets underlooked or overlooked, right? And the reason for that is, I'm sure Mr. Balaji would also agree that, from the industry point of view, suppliers, hotels, tour operators, right? They want to work with travel agents as well, because if their business gets concentrated with, let's say, one or two players, they also, have limited margins to work with. So I think that is where, there is a, like just recently I was reading a media article which was published by, a leading consulting firm, Redseer, which talked about how even today 52% of the business of the industry is with travel agents, compared to only 20-25% which gets booked directly online on these websites or directly on Indigo's website or anything of that sort. So what this highlights is that people have this, like in India, people have faith in going to a travel agent, and that is, like that faith has got accelerated, and the service component which agents provide, the personalized attention they are able to provide, that has got highlighted even more at this time. So yeah, I think it would be overall, something which is not just a temporary shift, but a large change in behavior, wherein agents will continue to add more relevance as people plan more and more trips and holidays.
Sure. Thank you. Aditya, I'll come back to you. Obviously, the hospitality and the travel sector was the worst hit during the pandemic. It was mentally and physically taxing for all business owners to stay afloat. How did you do it? How did you survive? How was your experience? How did you motivate your employees? Did you have to lay people off? How was your experience?
Well, yes, at the end of the day, you run out of cash, your business goes belly up, right? So as soon as pandemic happened, we had to announce pay cuts, we had to do downsizing, all in the interest of the company. And what we did was, when we downsized, we placed our employees in other companies who became more relevant, let's say, edutech, right? So became more relevant. So no love lost. We basically outplaced them, and went through that. Even now, our business is lower than pre-pandemic levels. But during this time, we survived. But how we helped our hotel partners survive, how we saw what did they do to survive, was more critical to me, right? At the end of the day, we are in the ERP business, so they needed the data for the finalization of their accounts and stuff like that, right? So they did not discontinue our services, though we gave them a healthy discount and to go walk this line together. But hotels were in a much tougher spot, right? And Balaji would basically give more detailed answer to that. But what happens in a hotel is that they have not seen life of zero cash flow, right? And there is a lot of overhead. Plus, the way the lockdowns had happened, few of the staff were stuck over here, few wanted to go back and stuff like that. So they were not just zero cash flow, but they were overheads of their employees that they had to manage. Number one. Number two, whenever during this last 18 months or so, you announce lockdowns and then you relax it. It is easy for us to say, from tomorrow, we can go and we can go out and have a meal till 10 o'clock. But for a hotel, it requires a lead time, right? Whenever you have to start a hotel, it requires a decent lead time. You need to get your staff back, you need to get the hygiene in place, you need to get bookings, and only then can a hotel start. So these periodic lockdowns, were actually worse for a hotel. It would have been better if the hotel was completely shut, right? So they were running worse cash flows. They went more negative because of 20% occupancy for a hotel has to run. They are actually they get more negative cash flow than 0% occupancy, right? So it was very difficult to see and plan for something like this. But what happened was that moment the market started to open, let's say Clark's Exotic or many other hotel chains, they had few properties at least in leisure segments, right? So at least those properties started to give them revenue, and the city properties may not, even now probably mustn't have come to the levels that they would like it to be. So because of that hybrid nature of where their properties are, it helped them survive. For an independent hotel, let's say Bombay City Center, they probably are shut as a business now, right? Because a 3-star hotel, has to now compete with, let's say, a Taj or a Park on price. Let's say in city center of MG Road of Bangalore, impossible for them to survive. So I will say at least 25 to 30% hotel inventory would have got reduced in India from pre-pandemic levels to now. So yes, it has impacted it badly. We tried to do as much as we can with our hotel partners. We have come out with innovative pricing plans, occupancy-based pricing on systems like ERP was quite innovative to and helpful for the industry to adopt. We gave, interestingly, what we did was that we started with the refresher trainings. Like I said, one staff member was now expected to do 3 other tasks. So we started with online fortnightly refresher trainings to now teach the staff to do other areas of operations, right? So that helped hotels manage the hotel with lesser staff and lesser occupancy, right? But the same staff doing multitasking. So few of these things that we adopted probably helped our hotel partners. We have cemented much better relationship during these times, but it has not been easy, and it is still not easy for hotels, especially that are city center.
Mr. Balaji, if you can comment on what Aditya just said, love to hear what you said about your personal experience. And also wanted to ask you another question that given that you have the biggest convention center and you have so many conferences and banquets, etc., which hasn't happened last year, do you see that a lot of them are opening up now? Do you see a lot of demand? Because from whatever news I read, the rush for hotel bookings now, they're saying there are no hotel rooms available. Everyone wants to go out because everyone has the pandemic fatigue. So do you see that? Do you think that you'll be having 100% occupancy in the future? Do you think all your banquets will always be booked, etc.?
It's very early to comment on that because at least in Bangalore, that's not the case. All the city hotels are still dry because the corporates are still yet to open their shops and they're yet to start operations from their office. So until they don't start that, this will continue. It's going to be very difficult. But the leisure properties, what Sir said, it's doing good because people who are at home, or work from home and have families, they want to go out. And today, even they can go to Mysore, they can go to any other place and still be in that leisure place and still work. So that is not the problem. But in the city hotel is not the case. In Bangalore, it was different because I need to share a little bit of experience in Bangalore. What happened? It was such a big challenge. This COVID actually, it was initially it was cursed, but now it's a boon for me, to be very honest. We learned a lot, and we in this last 2 years, so much of learning which we all of us got because none of us were ready and prepared for this kind of a problem, and we didn't know what to do. So a property like Sheraton, a property like Ritz-Carlton was selling room at 2,000 rupees a night. So even when you go there to those hotels, I could see carpenters, plumbers, painters, were coming there and staying there, just paying 2,000 rupees a room night because, anybody can afford that 5-star hotel. So slowly all these 5-star hotels started losing their standards. So in our property, we didn't do that. In fact, we said it is better to shut it down and I'm not going to reduce the price because the moment we bring down the standards, it will lose its value. So what we did, we never reduced the price. We kept the same. And on average, we were doing almost 8 to 9 crore rupees business. In the first wave, first 2 months, we had difficult time. We had reserved funds and we had to shut the hotel because of lockdown. We were able to service the salaries for our staff. First 2 months we did. And third month onwards, it became very difficult. Then what we did, we spoke to our staff and we told them, what's happening. And it was very uncertain. We could not tell them when, how. We told we will restructure the salary, and once the business improves, we will pay the full salary. So for the HODs, we brought down the salary to 30 to 40%. All the junior staff, we kept it at minimum wage, and everyone were given food and accommodation to stay. None of them were asked to go. And of course, in our hotel, we serve 7 days non-veg. So we brought it down to 0. So we used to only serve rice, dal, and roti. It was a basic meal. And we gave them the accommodation, and we also created isolation room for our own staff because again, hoteliers are more vulnerable when it comes to COVID. So we had to keep them in check, and doctors used to come. They used to check them regularly, and a lot of people left, and because they're all so scared, some of them went and they never came back. So first wave till September it was bad. From October onward it started picking up. And January, February started making profit. And then came March, April. March, April was the worst. Our lowest revenue ever in the property was just 5 lakh rupees. And that was very, very bad. And we didn't know what to do again. And a lot of business, I had to repay almost 3 crore rupees of money to the customers because a lot of them had weddings. And it's all big fat weddings we had, and we had to refund. But the customers were kind enough, so they agreed to collect the money in installment scheme, and we had almost 7 to 8 crores pending, where we had to make the payments to our vendors. So we requested our vendors that we will pay, as and when the business comes, and they were also very patient. And slowly, from August till July, it was okay. From August, we did 45% profit. We did almost 2 crores profit, and we cleared all our vendor payment. We cleared all our staff salary. Now staff salaries also to their original salary. They're getting full salary. And in this, we also learned that multitasking. Today my sales team is operating only from this office itself. They're not going out, and still yet they're able to generate the business. I could give away the car, I could give away the driver, I could give away the fuel charges. I'm saving more than what I used to spend. I'm saving, and all that is going to the profit kitty. And at the same time, we used to do 200 to 300 room nights on OTAs. Now currently we are doing almost more than 800 room nights on OTAs, which is again is a big plus point. And also, all this while, we used to have business strategy, we used to have business development strategy and operation strategy. We never had, a tech strategy. Now we have developed a team. It will only work on the strategy, on the technology. So the team will tell us. They will do the research. They will talk to companies. They will talk to IT companies and see what is new in the market and how we can adapt and implement at our property. So this is something which we have kind of developed, because going forward, technology is very, very important, and it's a crucial thing, because without technology, it can be third wave, fourth wave, fifth wave. So we should be able to survive, and technology is the only thing which can save us from losing business.
Okay, thank you. Arun, I'll come back to you. In preparation for any possible future waves, whether they've come or might not come, we don't know. Fortunately, we're at a pretty good space right now, as of now, especially with the vaccine numbers also being so high. But in order to prepare for the waves, have you as a company or the travel agents that you work with, have you prepared that, okay, if wave 3 comes, then we'll do this, if wave 4 comes, we'll do this? Have you made business plans as to how to survive if there's another lockdown? If there's a, because right now, as you can see, there's a rapid rise in inquiries, etc. And everyone might be hiring newer staff, to take up these inquiries, etc. So is there a contingency plan in the future if all is not so rosy?
Right. So, Nilesh, very much right. So, like Mr. Balaji said, I think one thing which, as a lesson, most businesses, especially in the travel and hospitality industry, have learned is that we need to become a little more flexible in terms of how we approach the business going forward, at least in the near future for the next 1 or 2 years till we are completely out of the pandemic. So how that has translated into action is that, both, what we see travel agents doing and we are doing as well is people are not trying to build, capital intensive costs into their businesses, right? So I think that is something which is changing. Earlier, if we were in October, November, it would be very common for most, people who sell holidays to try and book inventory for the summer vacation. I think that conversation is no longer relevant. So people are trying and making sure that they don't try and predict or plan for a very high demand. We all hope that the demand is great and we as an industry come back. So that is the first step that we are taking in terms of how we plan with respect to teams and the hiring point that you mentioned. So I think it's a mixed feeling more than business plan, because at one end, like you said, there is demand and customers are coming, so everyone wants to grab onto this opportunity and wants to make sure that they are able to generate more and more business and provide service. So that is there at one end, but at the same time, the route which many travel agencies are taking, and even within the industry, people know that it might be very difficult to make very long-term commitments. So if they are hiring at entry-level roles, they are probably looking at hiring interns, and if they are hiring at experience, people at senior level, people with relevant experience. So I think people in the industry have also realized that it's very difficult that if you've been a hotelier for 15-20 years, or if you've been someone who is selling holidays for 15 years, it's not very easy to go one day and start doing something else, right? If you're younger, it's possible. So I think what has happened through that is that people have started becoming more and more cognizant that their salaries or their cash components may be slightly may remain slightly muted in the short run. But like Mr. Balaji said, right, like eventually as a as humans and as the world progresses, as more people get vaccinated, we will reach a point where we'll be past this point, and at that time, travel will be something which everyone wants to do, right? Like, because nobody likes to just sit in their homes. As humans, we want to go out and explore. So I think that is where we are still maybe 6 months away, 12 months away. Anybody can guess, but I think that's how I see businesses shaping up at the moment.
In terms of, so again, I'm not very familiar with how the travel agent industry works, but this is just how I would think about it. Is that a lot of travel agents from airlines or from hotels, they purchase a bulk stock of tickets or whatever, but now there must be less of that, right? Because you don't know if you take a lot of inventory. So does that drive up costs for the travel agent and reduce the margins?
Yeah, it does reduce the margin, but like what it does is it also ensures that the travel agent's working capital or money is not getting stuck in the inventory, right? Because if God forbid, there is another wave, or if there is another lockdown, there is going to be a considerable delay in terms of money being refunded, right? And like Mr. Balaji said, when there are cancellations, people in the industry, they realize that even for the hotel, like Mr. Balaji said, like Mr. Aditya said, it is a challenge, right? So everyone wants to, like 98, 95% people in the industry want to do genuine business and want to refund the money back. But, practically, it's not really possible. So yeah, please.
Yeah.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt. Please.
Oh, okay.
So see, basically in the newer world, two things for the agents and for the hotel. I'll tell you what is going to happen, which I am seeing globally. Now, from a demand perspective, the newer world, to be ready for the next wave, God forbid it comes, it is going to be, they have to be more strategic than, what we call as spray painting approach when it comes to demand, right? So brute force. So hyper-local, local and domestic is what the true demand is. Today we have seen with all international borders shut, how hospitality industry is able to survive with domestic tourism. So when we say domestic, let's say if there is a lockdown again, then how do you do hyper-local staycations? How are you more innovative with your packaging? Then you come to local, which is, let's say, 100 kilometers drivable distance. How are you packaging? How do you know your customer? How do you manage your CRM? How do you manage your marketing? What are the kind of likes and dislikes do your customers have? What is the kind of existing, your past guest history, and that you can leverage and market to your existing customers, because now they know your brand, they know the kind of experience that you do. Rather than trying to get a new customer and introduce him to your brand, you basically leverage your past guest list and market it to them. So hyper-local, local and domestic is the preparation that every demand generator would need to do. Second thing that they would need to do is value packaging. With the OTAs, what has happened is that it has all become a price game. But how do we package value so that we can get more yield from a particular guest while he's staying in our hotel, is the second learning that people have got in this pandemic. So I think that learning should survive and we should continue with this learning. The third biggest learning, like Balaji said, in India, as a solution provider, I can tell you that the budgets that a hotel keeps for technology is not more than 0.2 to 0.5% of their revenue. In Europe, it is around 4%. There has to be a difference why a European values technology more than an Indian hotelier over here. And I think the newer world, like Balaji said, that they're investing in more technology. That's the right way to go. It is going to be a highly more digitized world, and probably Indian hoteliers will factor in greater percentage of the revenue for technology, because that is what ultimately will survive in giving predictable guest experience, in providing consistency, in providing innovation, in providing efficiency, and in providing your guest-centric service, right? So these are the three top things I see the industry transforming as things go forward.
One more question. Is there anything like a COVID insurance that hotels can take in lieu of a upcoming wave where you can sort of...
Yes. So in fact, I have a couple of meetings lined up on insurance companies, company from UK, Refund Protect. So what they would do is that they would basically insure a booking for a traveler, saying that, okay, rather than pay at hotel, you pay 100% in advance, but we insure your booking, and it will cost a little bit of money to the traveler, but they will get a better rate from the hotel, because a hotel gives a much better rate when they get advance payment. So it's a win-win for all. So such kind of companies are becoming popular now. We are trying to see which ones are relevant to the hotel customers, integrate with such services. So yes, so this insurance industry will really, I think, customize their packaging for travel related issues.
Okay, understood. Okay, so we have about 5 minutes to go. So I'll take some final comments. So Mr. Balaji, what do you expect in 2022 from the sector? Given hopefully that there will be no wave, what would you expect in terms of hospitality? Do you expect us to go back to 100% of your pre-COVID rates? Do you expect it to go more than earlier? What is your prediction?
See, actually, as it is for the next 2 months, November, December, we are completely sold out. We have 3 mega conferences happening, all medical based. And then we have about 11 weddings happening between November to December. Then January, I have about 4 weddings. February, I have about 3 weddings, and other weddings are in pipeline. But what we have learned is, we are going by one day at a time, because we really don't know what's going to happen, because we have learned from April experience, because suddenly, everything was fine, everything was rosy, and the next day it was completely destroyed. So we have been talking to our customers also that, if third wave happens, if fourth wave happens, so we are talking to them, we are telling them in advance what would happen. And we are also telling them, it can be adjusted in the future event, or it can be postponed. We keep the same rate. We will not do any rate changes. So like this, we are giving assurance from our side to them. At the same time, 3, 4, 5 wave, it's beyond anybody's control. But we are prepared for that, because the first wave and second wave, especially second wave, have taught a lot to us, and the team is prepared. We are also prepared. And now what we have is comfort zone, because earlier we thought till March 2020, we were all under comfort zone. We thought that is comfort zone. That was actually luxury zone. Now what we are today, we are in comfort zone. So this comfort zone has to continue. Whether it is third wave or no third wave, this comfort zone has to continue. So this multitasking and customization to the guest need. Today, we had repeated customers coming to our property. In last 2 months, at least, I have seen more than 400 times new customers coming into my property. So like what Mr. Aditya said, we have localized our marketing, because we used to do marketing in a very fancy way. Now, all that is not required. So we customized the packages, we targeted the family, because our property is away from city, almost 30 kilometers. So we understood, just giving room is not enough. We had to give them all 3 meals, give them a little bit of some entertainment zone, and take care of kids. That's it. And my property today, end of weekends, are 100% sold out. For the next till January, we are all the weekends we are sold out. Not even one rooms are available. That way we are sold out. So we are targeting the more local, because people will not travel out. Everyone is working from home, so they want something like a getaway, but not far away, just within 30-50 kilometers radius, and we are in a right location. So we have targeted the family audience, and which is giving us very good business. And I request everyone to target that, because corporates for another 6, 7, 8 months, no hopes on them.
Thank you. Arun, any final comments, any advice to people? I mean, you've been in an industry that's been hit the most and you've survived and gone through it. So any piece of advice for everyone watching as to, just to run a business, etc.?
Yeah, I think the advice would be to, like Mr. Balaji said, to think 1 or 2 months ahead, not get far ahead of yourself, especially if you're running a business within the travel industry. I think that would be something. And at the same time, like Mr. Balaji and Mr. Aditya said, the most important thing is that, we establish a very good connect with our customers, and we try and work around solutions with them, be it bookings, be it, technology. What we need to do is we need to remain customer centric in terms of, like Mr. Balaji articulated, right? I think this is a very big shift, which, we are seeing that good businesses are adopting, which customers are not just appreciating, but, becoming very loyal to such businesses where, you're working with customers and telling them about each and every situation, how they'll be dealing with, so that they are also aware, they are also prepared, and, they are rest assured that, if there is anything, their money is protected. They can, shift their travel dates and so on and so forth, right? So I think my advice would be, first, to take it, to plan 1 month, 1 quarter in advance, not, try and get very ambitious. At the same time, stay focused on the customer. I think these would be my 2 important advice.
Thank you. Aditya, finally to you, any final closing comments? Any advice for people who want to go to hotels from the consumer point of view? Any suggestions you want to give them?
Yeah, from a consumer, I would say that, value experience, the value that the hotel is giving. Don't book on just price, but look at the experience and the service levels that the hotel is giving, right? And to give a breakfast at 8 o'clock in the morning, the staff of a hotel has to wake up at 5 o'clock. Balaji, correct me if my understanding is incorrect. And especially in the current times where they have to do all the hygiene, SOPs and stuff like that, it has only become worse for the team. So I think consumers should value the kind of services hotels are now putting and newer SOPs that they have adopting. So experience should be valued. From a hotel point of view, I think that the hotels should adopt more technology, be more nimble on their feet, like Balaji said. Let's not plan too ahead, right? But be more strategic in the way we operate. There was always this existing guest list that they had. So there was always this money on the table that was sitting somewhere in some database, not getting valued, but now coming to the forefront. So only when you use technology, you'll be able to leverage multiple such things and not leave on subjectivity of a human being. So adopt more technology to hotels is what I will say. And for technology providers like us, I think we should try and deliver technology in the in the most economical way, in the most non-capital intensive way. Let the hotel try. If it works, they should adopt. If it does not work, should not hurt. And I think this newer world is seeming to be a much better world in my opinion.
Okay, that's great. I think we're out of time now, so I'd like to thank everyone for being here. Thank you, Mr. Balaji. Thank you, Aditya. Thank you, Arun. Look forward to speaking to you.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Manish. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Ritu, who will be moderating the session now?